This demo will be of the counselor dashboard, how to use it, and some of the nice features that the counselor dashboard has. So the very first time that you sit with a patient, you'll want to populate the counselor dashboard. So you'll see these buttons over next to a graph. You want to click the green button. And this will be the very first time that you sit with the subjects, and you'll never do this again. It's just to populate the sheet. So we're going to put in one of the fake subjects' ID numbers, and then you want a record of today's date. This will be logged in here so that we know exactly when the first time that we populated this database will be. Hit submit, and it'll ask you for the web portal downloaded and clean database, and we'll catch that. And what you'll notice now is instead of an empty graph, you'll have a graph with data with the predictions in it and the IOM bounds for this individual. Now if you click on the graph, it will rescale everything so that you can actually see everything very clearly. Now the tabs that have been, the sheets that have been populated are the prediction sheet, which has the IOM lower bounds, predicted weight by the mathematical model, and the upper bound and the gestational weight gain in pounds. If you go to the data kilogram sheet, you'll notice exactly the same data except in kilograms. And in the study information sheet, study subject information sheet, you'll have all the information related to this subject, which is housed in the web portal. So you'll notice that for this fake subject, the counselor or a phone number doesn't appear, but if that data was already in there, it would appear here. Now, if we go back to the main page, the next button of interest would be the refresh weight records. So individuals will wear their body trace ID or body trace device, and they'll have logging in body trace weights, and this will be logged into the web portal and then downloaded and refreshed daily. So when you sit down with the patient again, you'll want to see what's been going on. You'll click this refresh weight records. And again, you'll go back to the Smart Moms data storage file, the most current one, and what you'll notice now is there's these data points, and again notice I clicked here. It's a habit now to do it very quickly, but when I click here, what happens is it focuses in on the first day that we started seeing body trace data. So you can really zero in with the subject, and you'll notice that we have weights now in here. And on the daily body trace weights, you'll see that there's a daily record of date and weight into these columns, and that's how you refresh the weight. So every time they come in, you just click that blue button and you'll get it more populated data in there, hopefully. Now the next button of interest is the Run Flags button, and the Run Flags button is just giving a status update of whether they were in or out of the zone. So if we click that, we'll get a series of color. When there's no data, it will appear turquoise blue and say no data in there. Yellows are for when data appears half a pound away from the IOM guidelines, or if the subjects have been losing weight. Green represents when they're directly in the zone and gaining weight, and this is not actually quite right because there's no data before it. However, we're hoping that there isn't a week of no data, so this should not appear. And then finally, if they're out of the zone, which on this on the 18th week they were out of the zone, it would be flagged as a red. Now there's one more color that's not here. It's the adverse event flag. Now if you go to the sheet labeled flag codes, in case you forget, these are the codes. Adverse event happen when the subject has lost too much of their body weight. For overweights, this represents more than 4% of their initial body weight, and for obese, this represents more than 6% of their body weight. And you'll get a dark blue flag in those cases. Now, finally, if we look at the toolbox option, a button, this is a record of what has been used with the subject. So right now it'll give you a summary of what's been done already, and no toolbox options have been applied yet. So we select the toolbox options, and we're going to apply some, and we're going to put in today's date. We're going to make up a date. So we're going to put in the 15th of November. And suppose we want re-in-feeding and a meal plan. And you'll see that on the toolbox report, there's a summary of what's been done on this date, that these were combined and used. And you'll here also get a running total of what you've used when. We're going to click that one more time so you can see what happens the next time someone uses it. You'll get a little flag up telling you exactly what happened in the last counseling session, that the last toolbox options that were used with this subject were in-feeding and meal plan, and when they were initiated. And then you can put in, well, maybe on the 20th you wanted to have increased contact and RFPM. And no more re-in-feeding. And you'll notice that there's now a running total that you've used meal plan with them twice, and you've used increased contact RFPM once, and re-in-feeding only once. And again, you see over here a log of that this was used on the 20th, and you still have the history of the 15th. The final button is the Summary of Study Subject Informational Views, and when we first click it, it gives us a little hello, and it says that we've never looked at this with the patient yet. So again, we go back to the web portal downloaded clean data set, and we have now the weight graph views, step graph views, and lesson views, and the fact that you've accessed this on the 23rd. Now let's suppose on the December 15th you want to check again what the subject has been viewing. You would do exactly the same thing, and it would tell you that you accessed it last at 11:23, and that we can do it. It will that you accessed it last on 11:23, and during that session there were no views of the weight graphs, lesson views, or step graphs, and then it'll ask you to update the records, and so you'd go through the motions again. Now of course it's going to give us the same thing again because nothing's new in this data file. And that's a full demo of how to use the Counselor Dashboard and the different features the dashboard has to offer.